You know, I've been playing football all my life. If I did not play football, I would not be playing football today.
Hey, Sooner football fans. This is your Sooner Football Fans podcast. You got Terry and Rob here. Boomer up.
Boomer Terry.
And we are coming at you from the Podcast Palace in Norman, Oklahoma, where it was 75 degrees yesterday and it's 10 degrees today.
All right. It is terrible.
You know, we are in Norman, and we are the Sooner Football Fans podcast, but we
are not affiliated with the University of Oklahoma.
But we do have eligibility left. So... which is probably a good deal. We're going to talk a little bit about the camp. We didn't get it on video the other night, but the Lincoln Riley old folks camp, or what is it called? The fantasy camp. So
not everybody most of the people that go to that are going to be younger.
Yeah. You think so?
Yeah, absolutely.
I bet you there's some old fogies go.
Huh. Well, that would be weird, I think. But that's just me.
You should see the guys that go to the Steelers one, man. They're all like 55 and 60 years old.
Really? I'm not laughing at people that are actually going to go to that. I mean, I kind of am, but I'm kind of not.
Yeah. Well, the other thing we got to do is make sure and say hello to Tara's dad, Bill Doty. We hope you're having a good day today, sir.
Yes, sir.
And we thank you for listening to us, and we hope that you enjoy today's podcast and that today is a good day for you. And what was the other thing I was going to bring up real quick, Rob? There was something else. I can't remember. I'm getting old. See?
I don't know. You didn't confer with me.
Dane Bramage. I got the Dane Bramage. So, but what we do have on is a Sooner fan, lifelong Sooner fan, originally from Midwest City, Oklahoma, and now resides in Thornton, Colorado. We have on the podcast today Josh Davis. Boomer, Josh.
What's going on, guys?
Hey, how's it going?
Going good.
Well, was it 75 degrees in Colorado yesterday and 10 today, or are you having better weather luck than we are?
No, yesterday it was a little windy, but it was sunny, about 45. And then today we got no wind, sunny, and 46.
Well, at least you're stable. Me and Rob are just sitting here talking about how, my sinuses, so if you hear me start hacking and sneezing, it's because it's 75 one day, 40 the next, or 30 the next day.
Yeah, I had my bikini on yesterday and a winter coat today. So
I'm glad I didn't see you yesterday.
Y'all want to visual that right quick? I'll give you a minute. Go ahead.
But
you guys,
go ahead, Josh.
You guys just be glad you're not in the mountains right now.
Well, now are you anywhere close to where the avalanche was on the highway the other day? That was all.
So let me address that. Real quick. Last week alone, Colorado had 288 avalanches, reportable avalanches.
Jeez.
Now, where that avalanche happened out there by Vail Pass, I think it was Vail Pass, Copper Mountain. That's about good driving conditions. That's about an hour and a half from where I live.
Okay. Now, is that the snow one, or I saw another one where there was a giant boulder in the road? Was that?
No, that was the snow. That was the snow one that buried, I think it was 144 cars or something.
Oh, my God. Hey, move to Colorado.
Yeah. The snow will come to you.
So,
so
right now they've been doing a lot of avalanche blasting. So they'll go up to the peaks out there by Loveland Ski Resort, Breckenridge, Keystone, Arapahoe Basin. They'll do avalanche blasting, and they'll blast the top and let all the snow fall down on the road, and then scoop it all out.
So some of that's on purpose.
Yeah, a lot. Well, right now a lot of them are on purpose because a lot of those areas right now, the past 2 weeks, Breckenridge, Vail, Copper Mountain, those areas have gotten close to 4 feet of snow just in the past 2 weeks.
I love snow. We used to go to Winter Park every year. My family did to ski, and I loved it. So,
but getting 4 foot of snow, getting 4 foot of anything in 2 weeks is,
a
little bit much.
Mm-hmm.
I remember.
We need it out here.
Oh, really? Just,
Yeah, we had a really bad drought last year, so we really needed a lot of snow this year to help out.
well, good. Well, there you go. Now you have it. So now one of the things I wanted to talk to you about was the first time you followed us and we followed you back on Twitter. Your Twitter handle is one thing, but your Twitter name is Ned Tugent, Colorado Sooner, correct?
Correct.
I'm guessing you're a Ted Nugent fan.
Yeah, but the liberals here in Colorado don't like that too much.
All right.
Well, hey, I'm a huge Ted Nugent fan, so when I saw that, I was like, well, this guy is, got to be cool. Anybody who
Right.
has their, uses Ted Nugent for anything is. So, are you a fan of the music? Fan of his hunting? Fan of everything?
Just about everything. I mean, I'm not as extreme on
Nobody
political
is.
views as him, but I am a big time hunter. I do play some guitar a little bit, so I do like his music. So
Yeah. So, does he still do the thing? I know a couple of years ago he used to have kind of like a hunter's camp where he had like a contest and he would bring people up to his Michigan ranch and take them on a week long. I think they would, kill one or two of everything that he has up there: deer, turkey, hogs, whatever else he has. Do you know if he's still doing that?
yeah, he still does that. He does it on his land. He also has some acreage down in Texas where he hosts some hunts there, and then I believe he does an African safari one as well. I'd have to check his website, but I feel he still does all that stuff. He's not currently touring right now, but I know he played at I think he played at the Riverwind Casino about 2 years ago.
Yeah, I think he did. I didn't go to that one, but I saw him. The only time I've seen Ted was me and my wife were in St. Louis for the 4th of July, and they have a big free 3-day concert thing, and he was the afternoon headliner because they'd have an afternoon headliner, then they'd be done for a couple hours, and then they would start back up and have a night. And it started raining, and he was ticked off because they made him stop not for his safety, but for the safety of everybody, standing around in the crowd. And I think he got like 3 or 4 songs into it, and they said something to him, and he said, "No, I'm not stopping." And he started playing another song, and then he kind of went over to the side during part of the song and came out and stopped the song and said, "Hey, we got to stop. Not because I'm afraid of getting hit by lightning, but they don't want y'all to get hit by lightning." So, but that's the only time I've had a chance to see him. I definitely would go though if he came back to Riverwind. But so you're from Midwest City.
Yep.
Now, are you an old Midwest Cityan? Are you old enough to have played with the Gundy brothers, or were you after that?
All right, so let's talk about my lineage to Midwest City.
Okay.
So my dad has been the band director at Midwest City for over 30 years.
Wow.
My mom and all her siblings graduated from Midwest City, and my mom went to high school with Mike and Cale.
Okay.
My dad has taught at Midwest City for so long that he has only missed one of their state football championships.
Golly. Yeah, because in was it I guess the 80s and 90s they were the Union and Jinx.
Yeah.
Them in Tulsa, Washington were the Union and Jinx of the higher class schools.
Right. So before Midwest City broke off into 6A2 and 6A1, Midwest City was the last team from the west side of the state to win the state championship.
Wow. Man, that's a long time ago.
Long time ago.
Because it actually
1995.
Yeah, it actually got boring around here because it was always, when I would watch it, or me and Rob would actually watch the 6A title game on TV, hoping that Mustang or,
And it was never close.
It was never close. I mean, we went up.
Yeah, it never was.
Yeah, we went up to when North played them in Stillwater.
North's best team ever.
Yeah, and I mean, they just got thumped by Jinx.
Jinx just played with them. Sure did.
But now you played You say your brother played for baseball. Honestly, that's the thing. Rob will like this. Rob's a ex-college ball player himself. You played little college ball, and so did your brother.
Yeah. So my brother graduated from Texas A&M 2 years ago. He played his junior and senior season there. He spent his first 2 years of college at Seminole State.
Okay. No, we're Seminole State. That always people don't realize, and you forget that they have a junior college down there sometimes, but it's right there prominent. But they've got a pretty good baseball, or they do pretty much year in and year out have a pretty good program down there.
Yeah, they've always had a good program.
Now, one of the things from 2008 to 2011, you were a bouncer at O'Connell's. Was that Was that at the old location or is that the new one?
I did both.
Both.
I was at the old location was always on Saturday, and the new location was always Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday night, if it wasn't during game week.
So you did some, at the old location, you did some game day guarding or bouncing.
Yeah. So
yeah, just pick a day and tell us what that's like.
Pick a good one though.
Well, you guys are going to love this one. 2008 Texas Tech weekend.
That's
when we just raced them out of the stadium.
Yeah, that's the jump around game, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So to give you an idea, if you remember old O'Connell's on game days, they would always open up the parking lot. They'd have a big tent outside, and
right.
They'd serve alcohol on the premises, and there's generally a lot of people there.
Right.
Well, for that particular weekend, we decided to put up a big screen in the parking lot. So the people that couldn't pay the $1,200 for a ticket for that game all came to O'Connell's and watched the game, which, is a stone's throw away from the stadium.
Right.
There was only 4 of us that day. And that was all day. And there had to have been at least 5,000 to 8,000 people at O'Connell's for that game.
That's crazy.
So it was a primetime game. So I got a couple stories for this weekend. So the first one I'm going to tell you is we actually denied Lee Corso, Kurt Herbstreit, and the other guy that I can't remember. We actually did not let them into O'Connell that Thursday night before the game.
How come? I mean, keep on.
So this was at the new location, and Kirk Herbstreit and those guys came out to hang out, but we had a big, long line at the door, and we were at capacity, so we couldn't let any more people in.
Ah.
So my buddy was working the door. I was on the inside along with my other colleague, and they came up and tried to cut in line. And my buddy, who could care less about football, had no idea who they were.
Oh.
Just had no clue. So they show up and they're like, hey, we want to get in. And my buddy's like, no, you can't go in. You got to wait in line like everybody else. And apparently the people that were in line that were getting ready to get in were like, we'll give our spot to them. They can go inside.
And he's still denied.
Like, yeah, my buddy was like, no, you got to wait in line like everybody else. And so they went across the street to Logan's. Is Logan still there?
Yeah.
So they went across the street and went to Logan's for the rest of the night. And when my boss found out that he wouldn't let Lee Corso in, he just about blew a gasket.
I'll bet.
But hey, he didn't. If he's not a fan, then why would he know him? And these guys just come walking up. But still, if the other people say you're going to give you your seat, let them give them your seat.
You have to have your head under a rock not to know who those guys are, though.
No doubt.
Yeah.
So my second story. This was Saturday morning around 10 or 11. So I think that day we opened up at 8, served breakfast. You could get beers and all that. It was about 10:30 that morning, and there were 2 bouncers from Lubbock that looked like they were ex-football players. They were massive individuals, at least 6'5", pushing 3 bills. I mean, just 2 big dudes. And they got into an argument. One got mad, picked up a chair, and swung it at the other bouncer, and actually split this dude's head open. And it is the bystander split this dude's head open in the middle of everybody. And those 2 guys took off. We couldn't find him.
Jeez. And what?
So,
they just went. They got in a fight with each other.
Yeah, just arguments with each other. It was the stupidest thing. It was quick too. I mean, I don't think the argument lasted but 30 seconds. So by the time we got there, they were already headed out the door, trying to get away from everybody.
Roid rage.
Yeah, and they're Red Raider fans, so people who throw tortillas at other people can't be overly.
Yeah, they're not very smart.
They're not very smart to begin with, so yeah, okay.
Okay, what you got? So, you got another one from that weekend?
Yeah, I got one more.
Okay.
So the coolest thing that happened that weekend is right at the end of the second quarter when they were playing jump around and the whole stadium was rocking.
Yeah.
I could feel that at O'Connell.
Oh man!
You could feel the ground shake from them doing it.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean it was loud. I mean I live on the northeast side of Norman here, where the Podcast Palace is at, and it's one of those few games that you could go outside. If you went out, I went out on the back patio. You could hear the crowd, and it's not that often.
Not all out here.
Yeah, not that every now and then you might hear the guns kind of, faint and stuff. But that night there was a couple of times, I went outside and you could hear the roar, and I kept remember coming back in and going, that is, and they were showing it on TV. I said that is freaking nuts how loud that place is. I don't think OU's been that loud before or since, and I don't know why. But I know it was a big game.
It should be though, since now it's all closed in. It should be louder in there, right?
Yeah, it is louder in there, but it's what I mean. It's not like, I don't know. It's Oklahoma has never been a snake pit of a stadium, with fan.
Well, you know why that is, though.
Why is that, Rob?
So, all right. So when you have won for centuries and centuries, the fan base stays with you, and nothing against them. The entire West Side, they're all old. And when I say old, I mean they're old. And so they don't yell and scream like the East Side does.
Right.
So really, you've got one side that's loud and one side that's just absolutely not.
Right.
You can't blame them.
If you think about it too, let's be honest. Our student section is pretty pathetic when it comes to game day.
They don't. And they used to be great, but anymore, I mean, man, it's at halftime. That thing just starts emptying out.
Yeah. I mean, I don't get it, but
and if you don't give them a certain allotment of tickets, the student government's going to complain, and it's a no-win situation for that.
Yeah, but and that's the thing I thought is like, why, I never even thought about that. The student government being involved in it is why don't they, scrape that down some or fence in the student section and don't let them leave or something. But I'm trying to remember what game it was. It might have been the Army game this year, because we sat over by the student section, and I think they were emptying out in the fourth quarter. I mean, it wasn't, of course, like the Florida Atlantic game, the whole stadium, there was less people there in the third quarter than there was at the spring game last year in the Florida Atlantic game. But I know what Rob's saying, and Rob, he works at the stadium, he sees it off first line. But I've sat over on the east side, and you're right, it is a different. It's a different clientele on that side.
For sure it is.
I mean, I remember when David was like 10 or 11, my oldest son, we had a lady turn around and tell him to be quiet. And I was like, this is a football game.
Well,
he's 11 years old.
Some of those people on the west side have had their tickets since the 50s.
Yeah, the west side. I meant west side. Yeah.
So.
Yeah, it's old Sooner blood on that side.
Yep, it certainly is.
And
the east side reminds me of a country club more than a football game.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I guarantee you, the facilities they have there on that side are just on the east side, or I haven't ever been on that south stuff yet. Is it just as nice, Rob?
Oh yeah, yeah, it is. Yeah, it's super nice. Those and the new loge boxes, man, they're really cool.
Yeah,
they're really nice. Sure are.
But yeah, and it's the crowd facilities and the team facilities are pretty much far and above, I think, anywhere else in the country right now. But before we get into some Sooner talk, let's get into the Sooner bucket of questions. Now, for those of you, if you're first-time listeners, which where have you been?
Both of you.
But this is basically, they may be about football, they may not be about football, they may be about movies. It's just questions to see really the kind of person that Josh really is. So, and if he has the same mentality, I guess, as Rob and I do. So, Rob, you ready?
I am ready.
Hit it.
Okay. So, Josh, how old of a man are you?
29.
29. Okay, so you might get this one. All right. Finish Shane Falco's speech from The Replacements. Are you ready? Pain heals.
Oh, I guess I'm ready.
I can give you another second. Okay, ready now?
Yeah, give it to me.
All right. Pain heals. Chicks dig scars.
What comes after that?
Greatness lasts forever.
Close enough. Glory lasts
Glory
forever.
lasts forever. Good
Close
job.
enough. Yeah.
I love.
I was close.
I love that movie. It's just it's funny how they really didn't even. I guess the NFL didn't want to do anything with that movie because it had nothing to do. They had no NFL teams, which I thought it would have been cool to have. What were they? The Washington Generals or something like that.
All right. Question number 2. Are you ready?
Yeah.
Okay. What is the stupidest thing you've done because someone dared you to?
Okay, this is a hold my beer moment. What's your best hold my beer moment?
My best hold my beer moment. Oh.
or is it really a best hold my or your worst hold my beer moment? Maybe that would
Let's go with worst.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm pretty smart for the most part.
You've never been out.
I went on a polar plunge once, and that's about the stupidest thing I've
Polar
done.
Well, that's pretty dumb, to be honest.
Did you have to dig them back out after?
It was in Oklahoma. I want to say it was like 2008. We had a really big snowstorm.
Oh yeah, that's
my parents had a heated pool, but they only heated it enough to keep the ice off of it. And
So
it was still frigid. There was snow on the ground. I did not enjoy that at all.
Rob, what's yours? I know that you've shared some of your Scotty moments.
No, we probably don't want to bring those up, but maybe some other time. How about you?
Mine would probably be, and it's funny. I was thinking about this because a buddy of mine, who we've been back in touch with here recently. And he's a Oklahoma State Trooper now. I'm not going to say his name because this is an embarrassing story, but we decided to go deer hunting back when we were seniors in high school. And it was, as is every deer season back then in Oklahoma, it was cold and raining. Okay. But we were going to go camping, and his grandparents had some land out in Bunch, Oklahoma. And we were tromping through the woods with a backpack full of beer, which is a bad thing to start with. And
so far I'm like, I don't see the problem here, Terry.
we found a level place to set up camp, and it was cold and raining. So, and we were right next to this big tree, hollowed out tree.
Oh, okay.
So being the brilliant guys we were, we used the hollowed out tree as a fireplace.
I'm following your logic. It sounds good.
And this is before they started drinking, I think. So, man.
So we sat there and we thought we had a great thing going. I mean, our fire was warm. We were sitting there having cold beers and stuff. And we go to bed and get in the tent, go to bed. And we're going to get up early for camping, for hunting the next morning. And I want to say it was about probably 3 or 4 in the morning. We hear this crash. And then we hear this crash, 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 crash all the way around us. And then we both get hit with this tree that fell on our tent, and it was on fire. So
already,
that's as far as I'm going. we're alive, and we don't have melted tent anywhere on us. We
good.
Survived it. But
Hey, that's the best part about that story.
exactly. And I tell you, he still had on his, you remember those old green rubber boots? I don't remember who made them, but back in the 80s, everybody had those lace up green, funky looking green and yellow boots.
Swampers?
Something like that. He still had his on, and one of the tree limbs came and hit his foot and broke, and it pushed his foot out of his boot. And that boot is still out there in Bunch, Oklahoma. But we were talking about that the other day. That's it really wasn't a hold by mirror. We kind of thought of it as a survivalist mode, but
no, it was kind of a hold my beer moment. No, starting to fire inside of a tree.
Yeah. So I mean, what do you think, Josh? Was that survival or hold my beer?
That's cold luck right there. That's about survival with that. You just got lucky.
Answer.
Yeah, we got lucky. Okay, Rob, one more.
All right, question number 3. Are you ready?
Am I what?
Ready.
Ready. Are you ready?
I can't understand what you're saying.
Are you ready? Here's what Roddy said.
Oh, yeah, I'm ready. Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
Who was the game announcer for the Armadillos in Necessary Roughness?
Never seen the movie. Couldn't tell you.
What? You've never seen What? Oh my!
Hey, we gotta go, Josh. Sorry, man.
You've never seen that with Sinbad and?
Oh man, there's a lot of pros in that movie.
North Texas State.
No, I've seen a lot of those football movies, but that's one I can honestly say I have not seen.
Well, it was Rob Schneider, right?
Yep.
Rob Schneider.
Schneider.
You know, he did the what's it called? Saturday Night Live, making copies, but he did it with the Armadillos when they would fumble Rooski, fumble, and my favorite line from that with him is, there's one point in time they're bringing in somebody to play, and he goes, maybe now it's not the best time, coach, to let everybody get playing time. Hey, I haven't played. You want to let me in, please? So that's one of my. Yeah. But see, that's one though, Josh. You definitely have to. You have to go rent, or you don't go rent movies anymore, or whatever. Your
Netflix it on up.
Netflix it on up. There it is. But
all right,
I'll make sure and find it and go watch it.
All right. There's a part there in that particular movie where they're going to play this penitentiary. So the penitentiary comes up, and all of these NFL Hall of Famers start getting out of this bus, like Roger Craig and
Lawrence Taylor
and I don't know,
Jim
Bronco
Kelly.
Nagurski,
A whole bunch of
Jim Kelly. It's pretty hilarious
because they couldn't find anybody to scrimmage them because they broke all these rules. So he thought he'd make them tough and scrimmage the North Texas State Penitentiary.
Yeah,
but so let's get into a little bit of Sooner talk here. First off, have you seen the video? Rob, have you seen it? Josh, have you seen it? The video that Oklahoma football put out on Twitter and Facebook of Coach Grinch talking about speed and getting on his defense?
You're talking about the one where he's like Max, kind of a deal, like Deadpool?
Where he's like, what?
Where he's talking about, max speed.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
Yeah, I'll do my best coach impersonation here. I wrote down what he said. Your tempo is not predicated on them. Your tempo is not predicated on how you feel. Your tempo is not predicated on a drill. There is one speed, and it's your max speed every single snap. Which kind of gave you chills.
Yeah, I like that.
You know, and we've been talking about defense, you know, I mean, and he was pretty much into it. And everybody got all excited, and I know, you know, or the fans did, including myself. But then, you know, I always kind of go back, and Josh, if you listen to our podcast, you know, before the season, during the season, Rob and I, we have this saying is that we're not going to drink the Kool-Aid. We call it the defensive Kool-Aid because the last 2 years before last year, it seemed like the defense, and the last 2 years, the defense has cost us the national title. So I didn't overly get excited the more I thought about it because I'm pretty sure that's the same type of stuff that every defensive coach has ever said. What do you think about that?
You know, it's kind of weird for me. So I got a couple different views on this. The first one is I'll believe it when I see it.
Amen. Thank you.
The second one is I have a close friend that actually played at Washington State while Grinch was there.
Okay.
And he speaks extremely high of Coach Grinch, Coach Manning, and Coach Odoms.
Yeah.
I mean, he had nothing but good things to say. And, you know, he said that when he got there, they were 117th, and then when he left, they were in the top 15.
Right.
So that makes me really excited, but you know, Mike Stoops pumped so much sunshine up our butts for so many years that I can't. I'm gonna believe it when I see it, and I'm gonna give Grinch 3 years to show us what he's got. It's not gonna happen overnight. He doesn't have his guys that he wants there, so I'll believe it when I see it.
Yeah, and you know, here's the, you know, I like what you said too about, you know, your friend that played for him. You know, when he left or got fired, I guess he got fired. Everybody says he got fired, so we're going to say he got fired. He got let go. But, you know, we've had Rufus Alexander on, and I heard all these former players of his, Dvorak, you know, Roy Williams, and all these guys, they said the same thing about Mike was, man, he was great.
Yeah.
I'd run through a wall for this guy and this and this. And I don't know, you know, I don't know why he couldn't coach this group of kids, or these kids wouldn't, you know. I've heard that it's a different, you know, what is it, a different time now. They kids don't respond. Whatever. But football
I mean,
is football.
That has a lot to do with it. I mean, you got to understand when guys like Dvorak and Rufus and Curtis Lofton and Rocky Kelmus, when all those guys were going through, you had a completely different mentality from kids growing up through that time.
Right.
Didn't have thinking video games. They didn't have social media. They didn't have all this stuff. And Mike is an old school coach. He's going to get on you. He's going to yell at you the entire time. And he's going to expect you to perform that way. You can't go that route with kids today because they're freaking spoiled. I know. I'm a millennial.
All right.
Well, at least you accept it.
And don't hold back.
Don't hold back.
Because
my, you know, Caleb, who does the podcast, my youngest son, you know, he gets offended or defensive, I guess, is when we start rattling him about, you know, he's 26, be 27 this year, you know, millennial, you know, drinks the ultra light beer, and it's like, what? I mean, come on.
Hey, and don't say nothing bad about LeBron.
Yeah. But no, you know, like I said, I like this scheme and the way it's talked about. You know, the philosophy of, you know, one of the things that Lincoln said at his press conference last week is that Grinch is implementing the same philosophy that Lincoln uses on his offense, which is we're going to make teams play the game on our terms. And I love that thought. And you think, well, that's what everybody does. And I don't think it's to that extent it's true, because I think Lincoln runs his offense to a point of, you know, like Gary Patterson said, you know, they ran, the same play with 9 different blocking schemes.
Right, and
out of the same set.
And we're going to put this guy in motion, so if they think we're running this and we're actually going to do that, kind of a deal.
And to where you can't line up, and though, like Gary Patterson said, was that we knew what was coming, but we didn't know how basically it was coming. So
yeah, I mean, you got a couple different things there with this, and I'll kind of revert back to some baseball knowledge that I have. My 4 year that I played at, our coach always wanted to put the pressure on the defense, and it was our motto was make the defense uncomfortable. Right. So we're always stealing, we're always making the pitcher think about it. We're always hitting in the top part of counts. We're not letting them get into the deep counts to where they have the upper hand. It was just constant putting the pressure on the defense. And, we backed it up with how we played. We averaged 10.5 runs a game when I was a junior.
Jeez. Yeah.
And we set our school record in wins that year as a junior. And we were in the top 10 in offensive categories my junior year. And a lot of that had to do with the way our coach's philosophy was, which was make the defense uncomfortable, put pressure on the defense. Now, that's exactly what Lincoln Riley does.
Right.
You either stop us or we're going to run over you.
Right.
And that's, other than the Rose Bowl, he did exactly that, in my opinion.
Right.
I think he let off the gas in the Rose Bowl against Georgia, and that was,
was a learning experience.
With Lincoln's offense, they are a rhythm offense. When they're in rhythm, nobody's going to stop them.
Nobody's stopping them.
Not the steel curtain from Pittsburgh back in the day. Nobody is going to stop that offense. So if you get out of rhythm and you get out of sync, you're 3 and out. 2 consecutive series. You give all that momentum that you had back to the other team.
Right.
Because look what they did against Alabama when they got going.
Right. Yeah.
They turned a 28-point deficit into a touchdown or whatever it was.
Right. And your point was perfect right there. Our offense didn't get going, but when it did, they scored 6 straight times, and we're fixing to score again.
Yeah, basically at will too.
And it was once they got, I want to say, their feet settled. I mean,
it was nerves.
Yeah, I think they were a little bit shell-shocked.
Everybody was nerved.
But once they got their feet settled, it was they turned it into a ball game.
Yeah.
And to where, at least me as a Sooner fan, when we're sitting there coming into the fourth quarter, just praying for another defensive stop and everything else, there was still a chance to win that game or to get it into overtime. Mm-hmm. But you're right, and that's what I like about what they're saying about this defense is that we're going to make the offense respond to what we're doing. We're not going to respond to them. We're going to respond. We're going to do this, which is going to make you do this, and which is what he talks about is getting turnovers. That's how he gets the turnovers.
Man,
that's how he wants that big turnover is make them do what we want, and then we're going to get those turnovers.
I'm all about it. Turnovers and speed and aggressiveness. I mean, we can't be any worse than we were last year, right?
we don't we want to keep saying that, but we said that the year after in 2018, and we was like, we can't get any worse. We were 65th. Now we're 114th. They're still 8 spots behind. So in theory, we can't get any worse. But I'm not going to say that this year. I mean, I'm like you. I'm not buying into it, Josh. I'm not. I mean, until I see it happen in Dallas next year at the Texas game, because let's face it, our schedule up until then is pretty weak. Until we go down to Dallas and in the Cotton Bowl and just smack Tom and his boys around for 4 quarters, I'm not going to buy into the defense because the defense almost gave me a heart attack last year during the Texas game. I just couldn't handle it. So, and that's just how I am. But
yeah, let's address something else too. The mentality of the defense I'd say since about 2012, very physical mentality, and it's always displayed in Dallas. It doesn't matter how good our offense is when we go and play Dallas or when we go and play Texas in Dallas. we are almost always out physically played during that game.
That's a good point.
I mean, and I think the biggest characteristic of that is if you go and you watch teams from 2012 and earlier, guys, linebackers. I'm just going to throw Tom Ward out there. Okay, Tom Ward was an idiot. He wasn't smart. He was rarely in position. But what did he do when he hit somebody?
He did bring the wood.
He was gonna make them remember who he was. Okay?
Yeah.
If you go back and watch Rufus Alexander and Curtis Lofton, those guys drove through their tackles.
Oh, yeah.
They were not going to let anybody get an extra yard. Kenneth Murray had, 22 tackles against Army? Is that right?
Yeah.
22, 20. It was some astronomical number. I would like you guys to point out how many of those 22 tackles he actually drove somebody back.
That's a good point. You know, just making the tackle. Yeah, and I agree with you because it seems to me, and Rob and I have talked about this before, there was that period of time like what you're talking about here, you know, probably a little bit after Rufus and those guys, that it was almost like Oklahoma thought they could toss their helmet out there onto the field. And, well, that's 3 stops because we're Oklahoma. You know, they're afraid of the logo and the helmet. And it just got to where schools weren't that, you know. I mean,
yeah, they're not scared of our defense at all.
Yeah,
nobody.
And it's literally the laughing stock. I mean, when you read stuff about what, you know, I was reading an article. I want to say it's you know, I think it was Dallas Morning News, and they were talking about, you know, all the talk about Jalen Hurts and and then they go, you know, and they got Grinch, and they're supposed to be changing this defense, which was a joke and has been a joke for 2 or 3 years now.
Well, I knew it was a joke, and I'm sorry, I hope I didn't cut you off there.
You're good.
I knew it was a joke when we were talking to those Florida. Who do we play? Florida Atlantic,
Florida Atlantic.
International. One of them, Florida. You know, the one that. Anyway, when we talked to their guys, they said, "Oh yeah, we're going to put up 50, 60 points on you," and I thought, "There's a sub at Florida team going to come in here and put up,"
and they believed it,
and they absolutely believed it.
And nice guys. I mean, they weren't being arrogant; they were just being. I mean, we've seen, you know, we know what, oh boy, what's his name? I know you were trying to think of his name too. The coach.
Kiffin.
Yeah, Lane Kiffin. You know, I mean, this offense he put together and this, you know, I mean, it's predicated to scoring points just like Oklahoma's is.
But it wasn't just them. The national people were saying, yeah, they're going to, you know, Florida's going to go in there and put in.
Look at Oklahoma's defense.
Yeah.
I mean, it's, you know, I just want to see a game. You know, I think the most frustrating I got, even though we, you know, the last 2 years we lost huge games in the semifinals. The most frustrating thing to me was last year when Kansas put 40 points on us. The game was never in question, let's face it, but we weren't trying. You know, it wasn't like they put 40 points up on. You know, our third string guys, we should be able to bring people out of the crowd against Kansas.
Yeah, but we didn't. They put 40 on our best defense.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It's like that's what was frustrating. I was so frustrated with that game. Just, you know, sitting here and you know, and the national media did the same thing. And
it's almost like a loss to Kansas.
Yeah, and Brecken, you know, Hager, that's the time he had to apologize to Oklahoma for saying, well, they don't play defense in Oklahoma.
Well, he wasn't wrong.
But, yeah, exactly.
You know, I mean, it's just, I mean, it's frustrating being, you know, a fan as long as I have and seen, you know, the 2000s, the early 2000s, like you're talking about, you know, Dvorak and Dan Cody, those guys, and Tommy Harris, those guys would eat you alive if you let them.
Dvorak would take your head completely off your body.
Yeah.
I remember a moment when I think OU was down. It was in the Dan Cody era, and Dan Cody was hyping the guys up out of a timeout, and he passed out. Just collapsed on the field because he was so fired up.
Yeah,
you don't see that today.
Yeah, that was up in Iowa State.
That was good.
And that was, but one of the things, and that's one of my favorite plays. There was also a play in that game because what was that quarterback's name that they had that year? He was really good.
Seneca Wallace.
Seneca Wallace. And
Booyah.
Good job, Rob. Dan was rushing, and Seneca stepped up, and Dan Cody reached behind his own back and grabbed Seneca Wallace
by
the back of the jersey and slung him down onto his back.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I about come out of my chair. I was like, "Oh my God!"
Hey, Dan Cody was a beast.
And you don't see. I mean, our defensive lineman since Gerald McCoy, really hasn't had that mentality of a defensive lineman, and even with Rufus and stuff, we haven't had that mentality and that physical of a linebacking crew since then.
Well, I want to defend them here just a little bit, because if you drive somebody to the ground, you could get a flag.
Well, that's true to some point. I mean, but there's other teams doing it,
Oh, I just give me a flag, because guess what? I'm going to try and drive you through the turf.
And and that's one of the things, if you watch the national championship game, that I noticed more than anything else about Clemson, and it's because I've watched the Sooners and their defense, was how Clemson tackled. Even when they tackled from behind, or if they hit a guy and he was spinning out of it, they slid down the Alabama guy's body with their arms still wrapped and picked up their legs if they slid off of it. Mm-hmm. They wrapped up. And that's something that Oklahoma defenses have not done for I don't know how many years. Mm-hmm. That you just don't like Josh said, that physicality of getting a hold of somebody and not letting go has not been at Oklahoma for a long time. Well, a long time. Yeah, I don't want to say a long time. I mean, well, to me, 3 years is a long time. So
3 years, especially with the way this defense played, is putting on more like 10 years on your life.
For sure.
Exactly.
For sure.
And it's frustrating to watch. When you've got an offense as prolific as what Oklahoma has put together, which everybody will tell you, it's the best offense the last 2 years, maybe the last 3 years in college football. I mean, bar none, nobody comes even close to matching our offense. Mm-hmm. And I was flipping through the channel. I think it was last night. I was flipping through something, or it may have been on. That was the Texas Tech Oklahoma game with Mahomes and Baker. The 75-68 game. Mm-hmm. And they talk about I
still have nightmares from that game.
Mm-hmm.
The college foot. I think it was on. It was like college football something. One of the Twitter deals out there, and they call it one of the greatest college football games ever played. No, it wasn't. It was.
No, it really wasn't.
It was one of the greatest offensive deals, but. I mean, Rob, my wife was actually in the hospital, and she made Rob come and get me and take me out to watch the game, because I think that was a Thursday night game, wasn't it?
It was.
And we went to Buffalo Wild Wings, and it got to a point where me and Rob couldn't even gripe. We just sat there.
I mean, it was entertaining for sure, but at some point,
what do you do?
Yeah, you just sat there and watched it.
Yeah, you go, okay, now we got to score again, and we would score, and then it was like, okay, defense, come on, and then they would, just somebody stop somebody.
So listen, that game was bad enough, but the game that still burns me is the game that we played in West Virginia when, it was like, okay, they're going to throw it to Tavon Austin, and he's just going to dance around for about 25, 30 yards every time they do it. And I'm just like, can we just let everybody run out there and guard him, and I don't even care what the rest of them do.
Well, and that, because he played running back in that game too, didn't he?
He did.
And he never played running back before.
He coached, he gave water, and, just whatever. Whatever they wanted to do on the defense.
I think every Sooner fan in history hates Tavon Austin.
Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, that was an ugly, and I just don't want to see that anymore. I don't want to see Like the Big 12 championship game. I liked that game. Our defense, for some reason, was able to stand up.
Yeah.
And hold them hold them about 28 points, make some stops, make some plays. The West Virginia game.
Yeah, but guys, let's be real here. Texas's offense was pedestrian at best.
I was trying to be positive, Josh. Come on,
Josh.
I mean, Kansas averaged more points than Texas did this year. That's pretty bad.
That is bad.
Okay. I just take the magic marker and scratch out what I said about, it was a good game. It wasn't. Our defense still sucked.
I'm not arguing that it wasn't a good game.
I know.
The defense needed a stop. They got a stop, whether it's just because, it was luck that the quarterback wasn't looking at the free cornerback running up on him.
And Ruffin McNeil wasn't looking either because he was still taking a nap during that play.
No joke. And if you look at who was the cornerback that Trey Brown, right?
Yeah.
If you look at Trey Brown, he was so surprised that he didn't turn around and look at him. He just hit him with his helmet.
Yeah.
He didn't even wrap up. He
was like, he's going to move. He's going to, no, he's not. So
it was almost like an accident. Hey, listen, I am not done hating on Tavon Austin, okay? I hate that kid. But you know what? When we played, you remember when we played Texas and they had Vince Young?
Yeah.
Okay, I hated Vince Young.
Yeah.
I still hate Vince Young.
I do too. I think he got fired too.
But here's the thing. At least he was good. I mean, when you were watching Vince Young, you knew, like, this guy is
good.
Legit.
Yeah. Tavon Austin was...
I hate him, so I can't... Yeah, he's not any good at all. I know he's in the pros, but...
Yeah. Rob's, getting, nervous sitting over here.
Man, that game, I'm telling you, that game, it affected me. I need some therapy. My eyes twitching over here.
Yeah, it's crazy how... and it was just, we've seen this been building now for 3 and 4, 5, 6 years, just the crumbling. And whether it's a popular vote or not, I still say it goes back to Bob. I mean, Bob was in charge, 4 years ago, 5 years ago when this defense started its decline.
Yeah. And
I still think, we talked to Rufus about this, and he kind of agreed with it. Was they changed they became a defense that they wanted to stop Big 12 offenses, and they tried to build it around smaller players.
Well, they never did.
Yeah, they they never did, and it didn't work. I mean, they're and he even said it started back when Venables was there. Mm. That they went to this smaller type. You look at just went blank. He went to the Rams.
Yeah, the Russians that were
smaller. The Russians that were 6 foot, 6'2". They were a little bit speedier. It was just a whole different mentality of how they wanted to attack it. To where now you look at the last two and the guys that are coming in, this summer and stuff. We got 6'4", 6'5" defensive ends now, and what that also gives you is that they don't work out as a rush in. Put them big old boys, 2 steps over. To fill a gap. So, I don't know, man. See, we don't need to talk about defense anymore. I'm getting anxiety right now thinking about it because I know we're going to be going to the spring game and you're not going to see anything, which is fine. It's for the fan, it's an event.
You're going to see Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, well,
and you're going to be like, oh my gosh, that is our next Heisman winning quarterback right there.
I don't want another Heisman, Rob. I want a national title. So
yeah, me too.
So we talked about it a little bit, Josh. Are you going to fork out the $2,500 to come to Lincoln Riley's fantasy football camp?
No.
It's like he was thinking about it.
Yeah, you sounded like you were thinking about it.
My schedule doesn't line up to it. And, it's basically 24 straight hours, and 8 of that's going to be sleeping. I don't think it's worth $2,500 to go watch Lincoln Riley try to,
wear you
pat
out.
You on the back like you used to be good. Here, wear our helmet, have fun.
Yeah.
But I got that $2,500 that I'm gonna go spend on a recruiter or whoever.
Actually, it's all going to charity.
Yeah, part of it says
Okay.
portions of the proceeds will go to from this camp will go to benefit a local charity. But
Portion.
yeah, portion. It could be, it could be like the NFL. I saw a report that like for the breast cancer awareness, when they all wear pink and they sell all that stuff, it's only like $1 out of every jersey from the NFL goes to the Susan. It's not a whole. I'm not saying Lincoln. I'm sure it's going to be more than that, but.
Are you?
Well, I'm going to say that, Rob,
Okay.
so we don't get banned. And but I like that you did bring it up that it's a 24-hour, and it says this special 2-day camp experience. And I was like, well, it's 2 days. Well, yeah, you check in at 5 o'clock on Friday and you check out at 5 o'clock on Saturday. So it's 24 hours. You get to work out, on-field station and drills, chalk cocks, and special instruction and fellowship with the Oklahoma football. But my favorite one is recovery sessions.
All right, you guys just breathe, okay? Just breathe. It's gonna be all right.
It says
At least we know where your priorities are at, right?
there is a recovery sessions, and it's plural. It's not says a recovery session. It says session. So I'm hoping that if I was to go, I'm not going to fork out $2,500, but if I was to go, that you'd go down. Remember the old drill? You used to hit the 5-man blocking sled, one and back down, and one back down, and at the end of that there'd be a kind of like the what's it called? The mud races that they do now. You hit the 5 blocking dummies, and there's a cup of beer at the end. That would be my type of football camp to go to. So you're not into not just the scheduling. It's just the whole the whole thought of going down there and letting them punish you.
Yeah, no, I played my last competitive game in 2013, and that's the way it's going to stay.
And that was that at Midwest City?
No, that was actually in Omaha, Nebraska.
Oh, was it baseball or football?
It was baseball.
Baseball. Okay. Did you play any football at all?
I was too small, believe
okay.
it or not. When I was a senior in high school, I was only $165 and 5'10".
Wow.
So, and I couldn't run very fast, and that doesn't lend well to football. So I played baseball, and I got all my size in between my freshman and junior years, or freshman and sophomore years of college, and that's about it. I wasn't big enough to play football. Midwest City was definitely a run-first offense when I was in high school, and I was not fast. I'm not afraid to admit it.
Yeah, that's kind of like me. I wasn't even fast running downhill, so I mean,
and not enough sandwiches to play line. So
yeah. So okay, let's get into our Sooner, not a Sooner. And now I got to share a story of somebody on Facebook. I can't remember his name. Sorry if I can't remember your name here, but he posted a deal that he listened to our podcast every day on his earbuds at work, and he was playing Sooner, not a Sooner along with whoever was doing it, and he didn't realize he was saying Sooner out loud. Oh. And somebody came by and tapped him and went, Boomer. So he was playing Sooner, not a Sooner out loud. So, but the rules of the game is there are no really rules. Is I'm going to give you a name, Josh, and they are either a former Sooner who was, which there's a ton of them, but a former Sooner who was an NFL draft pick, and it can be from anywhere from now all the way back to the
beginning of time.
Beginning of time.
All right.
Or I'm going to give you a name, and they're not a Sooner. Okay. You ready to go?
Okay. Let's go.
Okay. Let's see here. Darnell Jefferson. Sooner or not a Sooner?
Not a Sooner.
You are correct. Do you know who Darnell Jefferson is?
Probably somebody that played before I was born.
Rob, you know who Darnell Jefferson is?
Yep, he was on the Jeffersons. Right?
No.
Okay,
no.
my bad.
Good. He was played by Omar Epps. He played for the ECU Timberwolves in the movie The Program.
The Program, that was a good show.
Yeah.
Okay.
Let's see here. Let's go Eddie Hinton. Sooner or not a Sooner?
Yes, Sooner.
You are correct. Good job. Eddie Hinton was a first round. He was the 25th pick in the first round in the 1969 NFL draft to the Baltimore Colts. And he was a Super Bowl V champion. So,
Very nice.
Let's see here.
Although, albeit I think you guessed. That's okay. I would have guessed too.
Let's see. Let's go with William Barty. Sooner or not a Sooner?
What was his last name?
Barty. I'm guessing I'm saying it right. Bartee. Barty.
The name's familiar. He's a Sooner. I think he played for Kansas City.
Played defensive end. Is that
Bam.
right?
Yeah, he was a defensive back, and you are right. He got extra credit. He said played for Kansas City.
That's right.
Let's see. Here's another one. John Goodman. Sooner or not a Sooner?
Wasn't he on that
John
show?
Goodman's one of the greatest comedic actors of all time.
Yep.
But it's a different one. He was also a Sooner. So he was a second round pick in 1980 to the Pittsburgh Steelers. But you are correct. He was one of my favorite movie. It was when he played in Oh Brother Where Art Thou. He played the one-eyed
Bible salesman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a good one. Yep.
Yeah, he was good in that movie.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But hey, how are you going to leave him out of the Big Lebowski?
Oh well, the big.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, you can't talk about John Goodman without talking about the Big Lebowski.
Yeah, the Big
Right.
Lebowski. What was his name? I just went blank. What was his name in the? Oh gosh,
I don't know.
I can't think.
Mark it 0.
Okay, let's see here. Let's go again. Let's find another one. Willie Beeman.
Yeah, that's Any Given Sunday. Demon Willie Demon, played by Jamie Foxx.
There you go. Who is an amazing actor and singer, by the way.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, he is amazing.
Yeah.
And he's a hilarious comedian too.
Oh,
if you've ever
man,
watched
he
his
is
stand-up,
so talented.
he is crazy.
And you know
good.
what? I would firmly believe that he could play football.
Well, and he's fixing to play Mike Tyson in the Mike Tyson movie.
Oh yeah,
That's
gonna be good. I'm
Yeah,
gonna watch
he's
that.
been spending time with, and he's going to.
He's spending time with Mike.
Yeah, and I was watching the deal on it, and like when he did Ray Charles, he does all these impressions, and he does a great impression of Mike Tyson, and he's going to be talking like Mike Tyson, using his that lisp.
Mike's like, why are you talking like that?
Let's see here. Let's see if we can find another Sooner or not a Sooner. Deacon Moss.
Yeah, Deacon Moss was played by Michael Irvin in The Longest Yard.
Dang, man.
Man, he's getting like double points.
Josh knows his Sooner. Okay, one Sooner, not a Sooner. One last one here. Oh, that's too far back.
Josh, you would think you'd have these picked out beforehand.
Oh, shut up, Rob. I just have a list of people's names for crying out
I'm
loud.
just saying, highlighter or something. I mean,
I just have a list of names. Okay, here we go. Cheeseburger Eddie.
Come on, really? Longest yard.
oh man,
Terry Crews. And that's the truth with some cheese on it.
Yeah.
man, that may be the highest score ever right there.
How about one more? Danny O'Shea.
Danny O'Shea. He's a figure skater, isn't he?
That I don't know. But are you saying not a Sooner? Or Sooner?
Yeah, I'm gonna go not a Sooner.
You are correct. It was Rick Moranis. He was the Little Giants coach. And Rick Moranis was also I am the key master. Are you the gatekeeper? On
yeah, and Ghostbusters.
Gozer or something like that. Yeah, but hey, his first acting job, Strange Brew, right?
Oh yeah, Bob and Doug McKenzie.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen that movie?
That's before his time. I bet he hadn't seen that one.
Say it one more time.
Strange Brew.
I don't think so.
Yeah. Okay, there's another one. You got two movies that you got to go Netflix up. And it was
yeah, you're not going to be all that impressed with that one. I'm just telling you right now.
What you will be if you have to go instead of watching just Strange Brew, you go find Bob and Doug McKenzie on YouTube because they were They were a comedic group. Rick Moranis and I can't think of the other guy's name, and they played brothers who were Canadian beer drinkers.
Hey, you're 20. You're 29. Do you remember the cartoon Brother Bear?
What was it?
Brother Bear. It's about a bear. About a guy that turns into a bear.
No.
Okay.
I don't
even know.
Well, Rick Moranis.
I don't think I watched that one.
They were. How do you say it? Meese or is it two mooses? They were mooses. That Rick Moranis and the other guy. They did the Strange Brew kind of act.
Did you actually say meese for moose?
They're meese. There's more than one moose, so they're meese, right?
But anyway, Rob, yeah. But no, YouTube Bob and Doug McKenzie, and they're just these two guys that sit around drinking beer and eating pizza and back bacon and wearing, toques and everything else. But anyway, so what are you looking for next year? What is a good season? Is Oklahoma going to lose 2 games again, or are they going to get to the playoffs again? Or are they going to get there and fold again? What's going to happen? What do you think is going to happen?
I think we're 2 years away from having both an elite offense and elite defense. I would look at Spencer Rattler's second year, and that'll be Grinch's third year, where he can get his guys in there, get the defense where he wants it, change the mentality. I think you're going to have another stout offensive line. I don't know if Creed Humphrey will still be there or not, but you got a lot of young guys on the offensive line. Give them a couple years. I think that's where we're at. As far as next year goes, I think you're a 2, maybe 3 loss team.
Ooh. Okay, you just put if that happens, you understand. You just put 20 years on my life. So.
Well, I get it, but I look at it from a couple different standpoints. The past couple years, our offensive line has been unreal. Whether it was Orlando Brown or Cody Ford manning it, you got 4 brand new offensive linemen that haven't played with each other.
Yeah.
The last time that happened, I think we won 5 games that year.
Ugh.
Now, Lincoln and Beedenbow are not, 5 years ago or whatever it happened. Beedenbow is a genius. He's going to get the team to play together. But I think early on in the season, you're going to see a lot of headaches. You're going to see a lot of turmoil in the offensive line, at least for the first few games. Now, I will say this. If they can get away unscathed up until Dallas and they can become cohesive against Texas, I think you have a good chance to run the table.
Yeah.
There's always a game. This is what's maddening to me. There's a game every year that OU loses that they're not supposed to.
Yep, Texas.
Last
Iowa
year
State.
it was Texas. The year before it was Iowa State. Who was it the year before that?
Houston.
Houston.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
I mean, it's maddening. It's like every year we lose to a team we shouldn't, and it wakes us up for whatever reason. The thing that I would pay close attention to is I think Lincoln with Jalen Hurts is going to slow the pace down and just grind teams into the dirt.
Yeah.
I think you're going to see a lot of heavy run with Kennedy and Trey Sermon and Jalen Hurts. I mean, let's face it, Jalen Hurts, he's a linebacker playing quarterback. The dude is big.
He's a big old boy.
And all the defenses in the Big 12, with probably the exception of TCU and Texas, they're not big guys.
Right.
They're going to get overpowered. And I'd like to, just a hunch, I think Lincoln Riley's really going to put in that power quarterback run game, that power run game, slow down the tempo maybe a little bit, and just grind teams into the dirt.
Yeah.
Let Grinch get his feet wet, get the defense rolling, and then you'll probably see him pick the tempo back up. But I think early on you're going to see a lot of controlling the game, time clock management. I think that's what you're going to see.
Yeah, and and I agree with you. I think Oklahoma. They keep throwing out the air raid offense and stuff, and when you look at the stats, Oklahoma runs the ball, has the last 2 years more than they pass it.
Oh yeah,
and
for sure.
I think this past year the problem was our running game and everything was so good. Like the Army game. Lincoln couldn't keep his own team from. Sermon would jot down for 30 yards or break it or whatever, and there was times that Lincoln couldn't slow the game down, and it was frustrating. I mean, because he even talked about that on his coach's show one night at Rudy's. Was somebody asked, does it frustrate you? He said, it's really not frustrating. It's just how the game goes. You got to just reset. But his offense couldn't stop from scoring last year. And
a competent defense turns that game into a blowout.
Oh yeah,
absolutely.
and I think we're going to see the same thing this year. I think that offense, we're going to. I agree with you. I think we're going to be run heavy, maybe a little bit more quarterback run heavy. Maybe I want to say. Well, I think you're going to see a lot more play action type stuff, than maybe pro style whatever type plays. But I just that's how much scary faith I have in Lincoln Riley. Is I don't think it really matters who he has out there. He puts the guys in the skill positions to do the best that they can.
Absolutely.
Whether that's quarterback, receiver, slot, tight end, fullback, they're there for. He's better at that than anybody else.
Yeah, and I think we're seeing that with Michael Thompson, aren't we?
Yeah, Michael Thompson is moving to the offensive line, and then Willis, Braden Willis, who was tight end, is now being moved to H-back, and I think he's going to be great there.
That's a great move for Braden Willis.
Oh, it is. Mm-hmm. I mean, because that kid's a good tight end. I mean, he's big and. And the fact that, he, like you say, I mean, he just bought into it. It's just like, okay, put me back there. And he was a physical guy in high school, even though he played quarterback. He was big and physical. So it's going to be.
Well, I mean, he's basically a Carson Meyer photocopy.
Right.
You're going to see the same thing with him. You're gonna break out Braden out of the backfield. You're going to put him in the slot or whatever, and utilize him almost in the same fashion that you use Carson Meyer.
Yeah, I think he's got better hands than Carson.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I think he's.
Yeah.
Because I think if I remember right, he was playing tight end. He played quarterback his senior year because their quarterback got hurt, but they would also split him out there at wideout, and so he kind of
he must have a little speed at least. Then.
Yeah. So
looking forward to that.
But well, Rob, it's about time to wrap it up. Is there anything else that you want to?
Man, I think we covered it.
Josh, what about you? Anything else you want to drop out there before we go?
Just looking forward to another good year of Sooner football.
Yeah, and it's it's the pre-football is already here. We're in spring practice, so
hey, spring game's going to be big.
Yeah, it's going to be big.
long as the weather's good, it's going to be big.
Now, I hope it doesn't do like it did last year. Not, it was basically what it did today. It was 75 degrees the day before spring game and showed up the next day, and it was 12.
I'm going to tell you something. It's going to be complicated because there's a lot of construction going on right now in the stadium.
Yeah.
So,
but construction for a good thing. So,
yeah.
Some people said we're losing seats, but it's, to make
the
ADA, it's to make the ADA,
yeah.
More ADA seating. So, which is good for me because that's the tickets we're going for this year for Teresa. So,
all right.
Well, hey, Josh, we appreciate you being on with us, and we'll reach out sometime again and maybe do it again if you're free.
Yeah, sounds good. I had a really good time. Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, well, watch out for the avalanches up there, buddy. Stay, and stay out of the snow, and we'll talk to you again soon. Boomer Rob,
Boomer Terry,
Boomer Josh,
Boomer.
Where's the Kansas State guy?
You assholes better not cut me. I'm still on this team. Hey, somebody bring me a Diet Coke.
Thanks for listening to the Sooner Football Fans Podcast. Sooner Football Fans Podcast is hosted by Rob Nixon, Terry Long, and occasionally Caleb Long. It is produced at the beautiful Podcast Palace in Norman, Oklahoma. Follow us on Twitter at SoonerFBFans and like our Facebook page at Facebook.com/Sooner Football Fans. And visit our website at www.SoonerFootballFans.com to read our blogs and keep up with our tailgating activities. Boomer Sooner, everyone.